Alrighty, we're just going to wait for a few more people to join us and we'll get started. Alrighty, Mel, you want to get started?
Cool. So hi everyone, I'm Mel, one of the keepers here at Maroon. Today we'll be introducing you to two of our nocturnal birds here at the park. But I think we're going to be starting off with our barn owl today, since she seems very eager for food. Sometimes she doesn't work at this time, especially as they are nocturnal, which means that they are most active during the night and also at dawn and dusk. So hopefully she comes down. Wait, you don't want to today? If you don't want to, that's fine. Mary might just give her food now. Good girl. So Queen Bee, as I did say, she is our barn owl here at the park. Now, with that being said, she is a predator bird, so you may have seen her beak is quite hook-shaped, and that allows her to tear into her food. So she doesn't need to eat it whole. You can see that she's also using her talons there too to hold on to it. With the ox heart, as it is a bit smaller, she can eat it whole, but she can eat those larger things such as rats, mice, rabbits, possums and things like that as well. So out in the wild, they will hunt during the night, and they've adapted quite well to that. So her eyes, they are actually in sockets, so they can't move around like ours can, but they can see with very little light. So she's eyeing off that piece of ox heart right now. She's slowly making her way down. But if you get a nice close-up on her talons there as well, you can see that they're very sharp, which is why I do need this glove for if she is going to land on my hand. Now with that as well, with them being very sharp, it allows her to capture onto her prey, but she's also got incredibly long legs to pounce on into the grassy fields as well, as they're adapted to a few different conditions. So they're known as sort of survivors, I guess you could say. They've adapted to woodland, eucalyptus woodland sort of areas, and then also urban areas, and they're found across the majority of the world as well. So they're not just found in our backyards, but also in other countries too. But also with her pouncing on her prey, a lot of the time they don't even hear her coming, because she's got what we call silent flight. So her feathers, they're very, very soft, and also at the end they're sort of tethered, I guess you could say, which sort of breaks up the air and allows her to fly silently. But also, with that being said, with them being very soft, she doesn't really like the rain too much, as they're not waterproof either. So she doesn't really like it when we bring the hose in. She sort of hides away as much as possible. But our barn owl as well, they are actually one of our really cool species, as they mate for life, much like our Tawny Frogmouth that we'll be introducing you to in just a moment. Queen Bee is definitely enjoying her food.
I did have one question, Mel.
Yep.
From Jason. He's just asking how much they eat. So maybe you want to tell people what she's eating and how much of that she'd eat out in the wild, or what she might eat naturally.
So out in the wild, they would often eat rats, mice, rabbits. So it depends. Sometimes they can go a day without eating or so. You're going to come down. And at the moment we are feeding her ox heart. So she's got 5 pieces of that. But then on other days she might get a small mouse, and also some chicken necks every now and again as well. You going to come down for it, or are you waiting for me to step away? I'll give her her space. She's thinking about it. You can see her coming down. There we go. But you can also see her, see on her face, it's sort of like a mask, I guess you could say, which is absolutely beautiful, and it works sort of like a satellite, I guess you could say. With these guys, they'll often hear their prey first, so they've actually got really good hearing. They can hear about 10 times better than what we can, which is quite impressive. But with their hearing, their ears are a little bit different to ours. So they are located on the sides, however, it's slightly just behind the eyes. The left is a little bit above the eye and the right a little bit below. And this allows them to pinpoint exactly where their prey is out in the wild. So they can hear a mouse hiding in the grass. I can see Chuck eyeing off his food, so we might move to him in just a second as well. Let's grab his food. Are you going to come out of your nest, buddy? Whoop. Come on. If you want to stay in your nest, that's fine.
Did you just want to explain what Chopper Chop's doing at the moment, Mel?
So at the moment he is just roosting in his nest. We are in nesting season, as that does happen August onwards, so in spring. Are you going to come over? I can see you eyeing it off. There we go. With Chopper Chop, you can see his lovely markings as well. So that allows him to camouflage out in the wild. So he'll have his feathers nice and flat, and he can sit very, very still, and predators and his prey won't see him because he's camouflaged into the trees. But just like the barn owl, he is adapted to different areas. So he's found in eucalyptus woodlands and then also in urban areas as well. Are you going to open your mouth for us? Now, with our frogmouth, he is what's known as a nightjar, so he's not that predator bird like an owl is. So he will occasionally feed on that small mouse, lizard, frogs and things like that out in the wild. However, he primarily survives off of insects, which is a nice easy meal for him as well. I'll just grab him some more food as well, so hopefully you can get a good look inside his mouth, because inside is a bright yellow colour which helps attract insects. You're going to go over there? Okay, buddy. So with him having that bright yellow mouth, he'll sit there nice and still, and he'll open it up nice and wide. As bright colours, they often attract insects as well, just like lights and things like that. But also, if he is feeling a little bit threatened as well, he may open it up, because usually out in the wild, bright colours mean something dangerous. So he sort of bluffs his predators out a little bit as well. Now, with him surviving mainly on insects, he's known as an insectivore primarily, but he does love his off time every now and again as well. However, today he's a little bit moody. We like to describe him as a little bit of our grumpy grandpa here at the park. That's his personality, which is quite sweet, to be honest. We do love him for it. But with our Tawny frogmouths as well, we are incredibly lucky, as they are also very romantic species. I do love them for that, because they do mate for life, and they'll usually only have about 1 to 3 eggs in each year. So with these guys, are you going to come back down? Shut. There you go. He's eyeing up quite a bit there. So as I said, he'll have about 1 to 3 chicks a year or so. But with these guys as well, they are as I said, they're incredibly romantic. Sorry, a bit tongue-tied there. But they will come together every mating season for the rest of their years as well. So they can live for about 14 years or so. In the wild, sometimes a little bit less. In captivity, that's usually around a month though. And Chop here, he's about 10 years old, but unfortunately he doesn't have a little girlfriend.
I just have one more question, Mel. Someone has asked how far they can turn their heads. So maybe the difference between our Tawny and our barn owl?
So with our barn owl, she can turn her neck quite a bit. So it's about 270 degrees or so, I believe. Whereas with our Tawny frogmouth, he can only really look side to side, maybe a little bit further than what we can, of course, as well. You hiding up there?
And for those that didn't hear us at the start and just joined us, they've just asked what he's eating at the moment.
So at the moment he is eating ox heart that we order in for him. So it's cut up in nice small pieces to make it a bit easier to eat, as he does eat his meals cold. He doesn't have that foot-shaped beak that like our barn owl does. So he can't tear it apart like she can. Is there any other questions?
That's all so far.
Perfect. Well, I think we might get ready to wrap it up then, because these guys, they're not usually awake at this time. As I did say, they are nocturnal, so you're very lucky to see them active at the moment as well. But I can tell they're definitely getting ready to go back to sleep.
Cool.
And just for those that have just tuned in as well, we are in Grateful, Victoria. So regional Victoria, you're welcome to come down and visit us. We are open. And this weekend as well, we do have a few shows going on, so make sure to pop in and come visit our animals. I've
had one more question, Mel, sorry. How long do they live?
So our Tawny frogmouth, they can live for about 14 years or so, and our barn owl, usually about 4 years, but in captivity it's usually quite a bit longer. Some can even about 15 years or so.
Beautiful. Alrighty, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us.